All these tapes of me you're used to are faked entirely. I am nothing like any of them. I don't get angry. I don't cry a lot. I don't get sad. I'm not dramatic. I happen not to be gay. I happen not to have been raised with money. I happen to have worked very hard in my life. Everything was stolen from me. I don't really yell about it. I don't really dwell on it. They were an agenda, a plan conceived before I was born for money, power, and glory, and sex purely, in the name of good intentions, good causes. But the people behind all this are lying and have been the whole time, safely through me, allegedly, without even my knowledge of what was going on, as they recorded my whole life, sometimes from inside my own eyeball, I'm fairly certain. But my life was nothing, still my life was nothing like these tapes. They had to insert possession of, they possessed me and insert quotes and put quotes out of context and cut and paste them together, stuff that's not even me. Like I said before, at work, these tapes are not like me at all. They've cut and pasted together a big grotesque thing that is not even me. I never was mentally ill. I never was dysfunctional. They possessed me entirely at random times in my life, just random moments, and put it together over my entire life. It's a big project. They probably don't want to give it up. They're probably pretty dedicated to it. These tapes are, in fact, quite the opposite of who I am, but quite very much like they are. Every girl was an actress, and I was the same age as them, or very close. At best, they were an actress. They actually had an agenda. They wanted something. My family were actors. I was born into a family of actors. I was born into a family that basically sold me and used me and pimped me out. The family was much bigger than my immediate family. It was a group of people, a few groups of people, and it was absolutely miserable. They've misportrayed me so gruesomely and grotesquely. It is unbelievable. They have said, I think they've admitted something like I was an actor, I should get an Oscar or something. They can't really come off their story. They're also scared. They're scared of going to prison because this does end soon. It doesn't go on forever for certain, and it does end very soon, I'm quite certain. They readily admit that this is not me, or this is not like Brian. Some people want to claim that they were training me or helping the world. They absolutely are helping you. That they were actually kind of in a way cheating you. They were using you in a pyramid scheme, a Ponzi scheme, through generation to generations for their own money, power, and glory. Not really any of their causes. The quotes from me are created. They are not me. They are cut and pasted together. They're an obvious fiction. And with all this for all these good intentions, but through human sacrifice and human usage, including using you, generation to generation, maybe even your own parents, and grotesquely with bodily fluids and dysfunction and shit and toilets and impossible cameras, impossible everything I know for a fact they blame on me and wasn't me. Not me, ever. None of the stuff was me, ever. Not boogers, not snot, not nothing. They were reaching in my asshole and eating boogers and snot inside of me while possessing me. That's how dedicated they were to this fucking incredible orgasm, multi-level orgasm, multi-layered, multi-spectrum orgasms that they got out of it. And they had you do the same thing. And now you owe, just like they owe. Attempting in the end to prove some kind of point they cannot prove about feminism or about civil rights. But it's been so long, you guys don't know the difference. It's a clusterfuck, it's a pyramid scheme, it's a Ponzi scheme. And it certainly has nothing to do with me. What this is often called is witchcraft or devil worship. They castrate a very significant man, often a Jewish man in the Western Hemisphere. Although I'm not technically Jewish, they utilize that theme, I think, quite a bit. Even the Blue Bloods have done that quite a bit. I've kind of outed the Blue Bloods and the royalty quite a bit. I've endeavored to do a number of different things in my life, and it's all been covered, all for your benefit, all things you would love. If you do like these causes, and if you do like feminism, I was going to liberate you guys entirely, but they got to me first. And now you guys owe, but 7 billion are liberated in all these ways. As far as I can tell, through my actions and through my debt, not debt at all, through my payment, through blood, sweat and tears, and torture. They have certainly misled you. Their causes are likely largely fictional, certainly in light of their addiction, and their dire straits. They're about to go to prison, a lot of them. They're about to get the death penalty, a lot of them, and you might be too. Those people are probably not going to come off their story. The older generations, your elders, your parents, they'll never admit to you that they misled you and that they totally fucked you over, but they have. And now you are responsible for your actions and your economy and your politics. they end up fighting really for the same things, and they end up fighting really to get the same things that they claim they're fighting against. But they do it in a stealing and sacrificing economy, human sacrifice economy, sacrificing Jesus Christ, sacrifice, and then blaming it on me implicitly, which they have admitted. I think, I'm not sure, but they don't tell you how, because they just have had me on camera my whole life without me even fucking knowing it. And they just but they still cut and paste together. They still really have nothing. But I don't think any of you actually care, because you think you're getting what you want, but you have to pay it all back, which I said in one of the podcasts I just did. A very brief, but I think 2.5 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes long, about the math involved and how you pay back and how you end up okay karmically and okay legally and etc. and get your own body and soul back. I'm not a very religious person. Sometimes I don't know, there are no other words really to describe what's going on. And they try and blame me implicitly through my own my alleged words and my alleged thoughts, 99% of which aren't mine, and they're still cut and pasted together, and they're still over dramatizing. They're combined with boogers and snot and shit. I mean, it's the most grotesque, impossible display. It's too many varieties of illnesses and ailments, and basically I've been swarmed by these people my whole life and possessed by these people my whole life. I've managed to live a pretty awesome life, but it's totally covered up. Actually, in favor of almost everything. If you are in favor of the causes, I fought your causes better than they did, which you'll find out, I guess, eventually. And from what I understand, they've created key quotes, which aren't me. I wrote Tanner Williams, which is not true at all. Some other, I can't even remember what all these things are. And perhaps others who claim to know me and their witness testimony that I am these things. They swear that I'm these things. They cry about it and all kinds of stuff. They're actresses and actors who want an easy buck and an easy wife and great orgasms and everything for free. By the time they got to my generation, I don't think anybody gave a crap about the causes for the most part. Maybe some did, but I don't think so largely. But the people who claim to be these causes, be very fucking cautious of them, very careful. Pretty much everybody involved in this does not have your best interest at heart. They might be trying to grasp it, having some kind of, if your best interest is the world's best interest, but I actually did a way better job than they did. Human sacrificing me, Jesus Christ, is not the way to do it. Not in a religious sense, but certainly in a spiritual, karmic, black magic sense. But that's not really the way to do it. Now, when I say I'm Jesus Christ, you're probably like, okay, that's weird, that's fucked up, you're mentally ill, maybe you're having a weird moment. I actually am a scientist, I'm an artist, I'm a poet, I've been a pretty decent business person. I haven't really emphasized business person, I've been a social worker, I'm a very normal person, I'm not mentally ill at all. I actually found out that at the center of this hurricane, what it's called this person is Jesus Christ, or the Messiah story, or the Jesus story, which I think they've admitted a bunch of times. What they don't admit is that actually the real deal, which doesn't come out till later, how and why. It's multi-layered, it's very intellectual, it's very philosophical, it's very scientific. It is somewhat magical, but it's most largely through hard work, hard labor, intelligence, courage, and it's not really a religious thing, if you can imagine that. After 2,000 years, that kind of got lost in the shuffle. My name's not Jesus. Jesus' name wasn't even Jesus. They ended up calling me Jesus later, or something else later. I don't know what it'll be. But my name's Brian. The Jesus last name I hear it was Yeshua, Joshua. I don't know. It's a person who's in the middle of this, who's a very strong shaman who got human sacrifice in tons of different ways, and he ended up being so. He worked very hard. The torture strengthened him a great deal, but also I ended up being able to solve a lot of problems in ways that people had never thought of, not just through waving a magic wand or by praying to God or whatever. God actually works through people, works through you, works through me, but you guys have chosen black magic, so God's not really working through you like they say he is, and you guys aren't really Messiah like you thought. It turns out that I am through a number of actual very real means, and really being able to get saving the world done, not like I'm searching for an ego trip or something like that. I don't know what else to call myself. Shel Shamus is the name that I called myself. It's just a bringer of light, bringer of philosophy, bringer of science, bringer of many different things that covered all of this stuff up. But it's very important. I'm quite the opposite of these tapes, and actually I'm quite an important key figure. It's not important to you necessarily. What's important to you is the math. Like, how do I get out of this fucking black magic mess? How do I get my life back? Am I going to be able to work for a living? Am I going to be in prison? But also, they have to sacrifice a very important person. That's how witchcraft and devil worship really works. That's how this works. You sacrifice somebody with a very important soul. who's going to do something very important, but it's not like divinely ordained where it gets done and I'm using divinity all over the place or anything as Jesus Christ. It's that I actually know how to get a number of these other things done, including saving the whole world scientifically, mathematically, quantum physics, very real stuff. That's what makes me Jesus, not some divine order or some mental illness. um, and they do this without any remorse. You think you can trust these people? They're remorseless. So if you're remorseless and you kind of don't care what you're doing, you can be sure the people above you who taught you to do it also do not care that much about you, even if you are their kids. I know for a fact my niece and nephew are being sacrificed all the time by my brother and by his wife. It's really sick. And everybody here maybe doesn't know the difference. Maybe they just grew up with it and they really don't know. I have to assume you guys really don't know what you're doing. A lot of the stuff and you. That's why I'm making these tapes to separate this nonsense conversation, which isn't me, from stuff that you really need to know. And I'm really trying to reach out to you in a lot of ways. I guess more tapes over time in more different ways over time, and maybe I'll be able to appeal to you in a lot of ways to help yourself and allow me to help you, or allow me to help you help me help you, or whatever it ends up looking like. Listen to the math tape. It's a 2-minute 45-second tape. That's probably the most important tape to you, of how to actually get out of this mess as much as you're willing to, or as much as you're possible. You're gonna have to pay for it eventually. Who are these people that are doing this? They're super important. They're super important to you. Who are you now? It matters. It matters. This stuff's going to matter in very real ways into your future and into your multiple lives.